Welcome back to TIME100 Talks. I'm Edward Felsenthal, Editor-in-Chief and CEO of Time. And right now I'm joined by Oscar-winning actor, philanthropist, author of a great new book, Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey. Welcome, Matthew, to TIME100 Talks.
Hey, good to be here, Edward. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great. The book is a wild, great read. And congrats, first of all, on, I don't know, how many Best Actors have also been #1 on the Times bestseller list? I wouldn't think many.
Sidney Poitier, I was told.
All right, good company, great company. And I see this week you're still up there between President Obama and Dolly Parton, which seems like exactly where you want to be in life. So that's
looks like a good spot, right?
Yeah. I wanted to start. We're in a time, of course, of just incredible division in this country. People living in completely different realities, viewing the other side as the enemy. And one of the things that struck me in reading the book is that you're someone who has lived very full lives on what seemed to me both sides of the divide. You grew up in Southwest Texas. You're also very much part of Hollywood, which you call at one point in the book, you're mistress of 2 decades, 2 very different cultures. And what have you learned both about what divides us and what can bring cultures together?
Great question. Boy, this answer should be good, or at least I hope we hope we have a good one, right? Because this is the big question. And I think one is realizing that it's not a novel question. You know, if you look at the maps where people voted this year, it's like, oh, okay, that's a similar map for over 150 years. I think what this year's election did is expose what we all kind of didn't really want to say out loud, is that there is a great divide, and there has been a great divide. My hunch is that moving forward in this time where people have run to the extremes, and mind you, I will say, I'm happy to say that I've talked to quite a few people who are feeling buyer's remorse for running to those extremes, because I think they're looking around going, oh, I'm not sure this is really, I agree with everyone I'm at the table with here. My hunch is that there's a common denominator of values that we can all agree on, that are bipartisan, non-denominational, that we can say, oh yeah, I agree on that. Yep, I understand that that we should all be responsible for ourselves, and that will give us freedom tomorrow, that we should be responsible also and have some empathy for others. Yep, accountability, that's a good one. I can agree with that. Yep, if I agree to say I'll do what I say to you I'll do, and I can expect you to agree on the same thing, we can start to bind some social contracts again. We're in a great time of distrust. We don't know who to believe. Our social contracts are broken with each other. We don't have expectations of each other, and that leads to us not having expectations of ourselves. Well, that becomes sort of a recipe for some sort of, chaos or anarchy in a lonely place. I think that we should really work on breaking down what we consider to be a contradiction, which is the selfish choice and the selfless choice, the choice for I and the choice for we. I don't believe those are as contradictory as we make them out to be. There is a choice, I believe, that you can make that is also best for the most amount of people. There is a choice that I can make that may be the best choice for the most amount of people. We look at responsibility. No, that it takes away my freedom. No, responsibility can actually give us freedom. It makes it about more than makes our freedom be more than about entertainment. And it leads to a bit of an ascension in life, a bit of an evolution for us as individuals and as a culture, as people, species. I think values is the place that people can say, hey, here's my solid stepping stone, that I'll step forward and say, I agree with you, where we can have a conversation without a condemnation. I was thinking about this the other day. I write in the book, you can't have unity without confrontation. So, and I believe that. And I would argue that in many ways today, we don't even have true confrontation, because I would argue that I think to have true confrontation, you have to at least validate and legitimize the opposition's point of view, even if you disagree with it. But we're in a spot now where we don't even validate it. We make that person, you disagree with me, I make you persona non grata. You are illegitimate, you're evil, you're done. You should disappear. You do not count. That's not true confrontation. Therefore, that's not going to lead to any kind of unifying of people.
I mean, just taking this, what seems to me straightforward example, you're talking about, think about we and not me, masks. Simple as it can be, it's about thinking about we, and yet it's become politicized.
But I think that's what I believe, that it's not just solely think about we. It's the we and the me. Look, we've proved as people, we don't do a damn thing unless it's personal. Intellectually, we say, yes, it's the great idea for the most amount of people. But unless we feel it personally, like it trespasses on our own soul or our family or on our property, people don't take action. So I think quit looking at the two as battles, as, oh, it's either me or it's we. No, actually, there's a spot where what's best for me is what's best for we. And it does take a bit of a tithe. It does take some compassion. It does take saying, hey, if I make I'm into redefining the word selfish. All right. Selfish, again, selfish, selfless. No, better to be selfless, not selfish. And I disagree with that. Because the truth, if I'm going to lie, cheat, and steal from you today, I got mine, that would be considered a selfish act by me. But what have I done? Now, everywhere I go, and I'm over there in your neighborhood, and I'm looking around, wait, is Edward here? I'm not sure. I'm looking over my shoulder in my future. I've purchased freedom from my future to now have to look over my shoulder to see if Edward's not there, to see, or the people aren't there that I lied, cheat, and stole from. So what was actually the more selfish choice? Well, the not lying, cheating, stealing in the first place would have bought me more green lights, more freedom in my future, more reason to not have to look over my proverbial shoulder and see what bridges I burned or who I lied to or what I got away with. And I think we got to understand this. We have to really hunker down on the value of delayed gratification.
Right.
Understand that we can make an investment. And if we make an investment in ourselves, is actually making an investment in us. If we make an investment in us, it's actually a selfish move, making an investment in me, and not see those as contradictions and see them much more as a paradox that I think they more truly are.
Who do you look out in the world at, or what, and see as a unifier? You know,
Right.
are there people, acts in the culture that kind of run counter to the theme of division we've just been talking through?
Well, let me say this. And I'm going to do this without naming names, and I think it's going to be better if I don't, even though maybe I don't even have as many names as I think. So it's going to take people on the extremes of sides. If the question is about race, it's going to take an Anglo on one, a white man on one side, and a black man on the other side to go, a leader to step up and go, hey, that's going too far. We got to understand. Because without that, it's going to keep screaming back and forth. It's going to take that same thing on political sides. If it's blue or red, it's somebody that's going to have to go, hey, we got to get a little more centric here. Again, it's not real confrontation if we're not even validating the opposition's point of view on this. We've got to be more. I'm for being aggressively centric, but what I'm saying is I think it needs to be a leader right now in the times where it's so extreme to stand up and go, we're going to start heading back that other way. We got to start heading back that other way. And hey, you over there, you too, you're going to come this way? Because right now, this side's yelling at that side saying, come our way. And this side's yelling at this side saying, come our way. But this side's the only side telling this side they should change anything. And this side's the only side telling this side they should change anything. It's going to take someone from inside both sides to go, hey, how do we come back here together? Because the royal we of how we really do turn a page as a culture is where I believe we all want to head. So who are people that make people come together?
Or people, are there, where do you get your hope, as you look out in the world and as you've traveled and virtually on your book tour, and what's giving you hope out there?
That people do inherently have a common denominator set of values. People want community. People want something to look forward to, a reason to wake up in the morning, something to build, some connection to what they built yesterday, whether it's their family or whether it's their business, that they can get up today and stay in construction on. That every new day is not a flat, blank page again. I'm not connected to my past and I don't know where I'm going in my future. That that we want something, a reason to wake up in the morning. We want something to build in our lives. And I mean, I see that from socioeconomically the richest people in the world, all the way down to communities in Mali, Africa, that have had no electricity in their life, but have that and have laughter and community and love for each other. And even, but maybe their ambition is just to grow the crops to reap the harvest that they had, that they planted in the, before the wet season or what have you. I will say this, and a reason I think I'm talking about generally about people is another thing I think we have to understand, and this somewhat alludes and answers your first question. We have to understand that our leaders can't do it for us. I think we get our chosen person in a political party, our chosen leader in a community, and we're like, I got my man, I got my woman. Okay, I'm gonna sit back now. I mean, a lot of wonderful things that Obama talked about before he became president. It got a lot of people off of our proverbial porch to stand up and go, all right. But then once he got in office, a lot of us went and sat back down. So whatever our leaders are, whatever they say that get us off the porch, we have to remember that we're the ones that got the work. We have the work to do. We have to each start by looking in the mirror. And I guess that's when, again, while I'm not bringing up different people out there that people may know, it starts with you and me in the damn mirror, I guess is what I'm saying. And yes, we can have a leader in a position that can lay out a road and a path that we more agree on as the way to go forward. But they can't do the work for us. We each have to do that.
The mirror is a good segue to the book, which is a very big mirror on your life. 35 years of diaries. I guess you started the diaries as a teenager, if I'm doing my math right.
Yeah, 14.
Did you have somewhere in your mind deep down that you might someday go back to them and pull it together
I think
in
I
some
did.
form for others?
I think I did. There's a diary outing that I had in 1989 that I said, I think I'll write a book. It was a little short poem. And, I've been keeping these diaries in the treasure chest, and it's been growing through the years with the more diaries I've kept. And I've threatened and challenged myself to take them away to see if there's something worthy of sharing in there for the last 15 years, just never had the courage to do it. I thought there might be a central theme in there and some stories to share that people could subjectively utilize on their own. I didn't know what that would be. Yeah. But then when I went away and wrote it, it seemed to be clear. One of the interesting things in writing it was the more personal I got, the more it became obvious, this is actually more relatable. And again, that's another example when I talk about the I and the we, the selfish and the selfless. The more subjective I got in my personal stories, and the way I saw it, the more it was like, that's actually more relatable to more people, that they can take that and see that in their own lives, or analogize it in their own lives. And I put it between two hardbacks and put it out there, and it's been nice to feel how it's been received, and people have been.
The timing seems right in that, I mean, at least as I read it, so much of the book is, it's got many themes running through it, but one of them is certainly finding ways to navigate life's ups and downs, about resilience. This is a year we've all had to find resilience.
Yeah.
In so many different ways. You talk about becoming comfortable with discomfort and bouncing back from setbacks. Where in those diaries do you think your resilience comes from? Where does it draw from?
Yeah. Probably a lot from gratitude, meaning we have so many things that we have in our daily lives, and I live an affluent lifestyle. So many things I take for granted, but I was ingrained in me from day one is you better damn well not take for granted that the sun rose this morning. So you grumpy coming to the breakfast table. Mom would send us back. Don't you get out of bed and don't you come back till you can notice the rose in the vase instead of the dust on the table. Whoa, okay. You know, you're griping about a old ragged pair of tennis shoes we had. I want new shoes, I want new shoes, I want new shoes. Yeah, you keep griping about those shoes. I'm going to introduce you to the boy with no feet. Whoa. These sort of take you back to the baseline. We were always taught that. And that was ingrained in us. And I think that's a lot of maybe where the resilience comes from. That we, you know, you get up, you try again, you fail, you try again, you keep dusting yourself off. And I've gotten a lot of things in my life out of hustling people. I've gotten a lot of things in my life through resilience. I you know, am resilient to the extent that, you know, what tickles me may bruise others. And I got to tell you though, a loophole I found that I've learned through life about resilience. Resilience, I would say, is one of my top 3 traits that were ingrained in me, but I learned a certain little loophole, and it's sort of like the loophole in the golden rule. You know, the golden rule: doing to others, you would have them doing to you. I remember going to my mom when I was about 30 and going, "Mom, been thinking about that one. You always said that one to us, but you know, doing to others, you would have them doing to you." I said, "What if people don't want to do what you want to do?" So I said, on resilience, I noticed a similar one. We were raised to be so resilient that you step in the pothole, you fall down, you get up, you dust yourself off, you keep going. Well, that's great, but that leaves no time for any kind of introspection or sort of evolution. It keeps you in the race, which is a great asset, but you don't necessarily evolve from that. And I remember going, oh, sometimes you got to step in that pothole, fall down, and instead of getting up and dust yourself off, actually step up, look back at the pothole and go, why do I keep stepping in that damn thing? So next time around the bend, you can dodge it, jump over it, skip it, or maybe take another path. So that is inherently sort of what I mean by a yellow light in life, or a red light can become a green light. It has a lesson in it. You can learn something from it. Our big question is, what is our green light out of this fun-filled 2020 year we've been in?
I guess I have to ask the obvious follow-up, which is, it's one of your 3 traits, and what are the other 2?
Well, what would I say? I mean, I would say, I'd say trust. I was asked this question a few months ago. What's your level of trust? And I gave an answer that was surprising to the person talking to me and has been surprising to others since. I go into the situation with 100% trust. I'm talking to you right now as we meet and discuss with 100% trust until you do something to lower that trust for me. Meaning, if you start to ask a snaky question, I'm like, oh, okay, he's trying to get, maybe I lose a little trust, okay? But I go into it with 100. What I've been told is that a lot of people tell me that they go into the situation with 0 trust and then slowly try to increment it up. And I was like, I've never really approached situations like that. I go in with a real reverence for people, that the best in people, that, oh, they want to be great at what they do. They have respect for their job. They have respect for themselves. They want this interview to be as true and as honest as possible. They want, you know, so I have and that's obviously not always the case. Some people don't take their job seriously and half-ass a lot of things in life. I don't trust them to come handle my carpentry. If the guy can't build a good doghouse, he's not going to build my home. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I'm blindly trustful, but I do go into situations, people specifically, with a high amount of trust at the inception. And I think that served me well, because I think maybe some frames I've helped, without even noticing, coach that person up. And while I'm doing that, coaching myself up by them receiving this massive amount of trust that I'm giving in them. And they're going like, well, geez, oh man, I can do that. Or this person's giving me this amount of trust and they don't know me well. It's a bit of, sometimes if we give that amount of trust to people, it can awaken the same amount back to us. And that reciprocity is a really, I think, valuable thing. And the other one, optimism. And I don't mean foolish optimism. I mean practical optimism. I mean, there's just certain places where you go, okay, you know, I got back on the highway on the 26-mile bridge and I'm going the opposite way. Damn it. But real quickly go, okay, there's absolutely nothing I can do about this one. So I'm going to start giggling really quickly and go, well, I guess I needed to listen to a little more music. I was listening to Bob Dylan. I think I need to listen to another, 26 miles of his songs going this way and 26 coming back the way I already came. I guess I needed, the sun was over here when I was driving west, and now it's behind now I'm driving back east and it's on the opposite. Well, guess I needed to tan the other side of my head. I mean, how to quickly, and that's what I mean by get relative with the inevitable, which I open up the book with that as a tool. When we see an inevitable, instead of hemming and hawing about it, it's like these things that we're going to do in our life. I talk to people all the time. Oh, I don't like doing talk shows in my business. Don't like going, but you're here right now. You're here in the green room. Yeah, but I hate this. I go like, well, then go. You shouldn't do it. They're like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going, well, then quit griping about it. If you already know you're going to do it, if it's inevitable that you're in a situation, relatively see the upside or the funny side of the situation quickly. And that's been a pretty good one.
My father, on long drives, we'd get lost and not know where we are. And he'd say, isn't this a pretty little town? So I really appreciate your spending time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Do it again. Come do it again sometime.
Love to.